Are we ready?
Yeah.
I'm feeling ready. Chrissy needs to adjust for type.
It's fine. I'll just read it really small or something.
I'll read it.
I need to get my magnifying glass out.
Changes
Go
the
ahead.
pitch.
Just go like this and spread your fingers on your screen. Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed to... she got real close to the camera. A show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of scary things are on your commuter, or what Levitt Champ or Track Dog you run, SCCA or NASA. We won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of low-dollar endurance racing. And whether it's on the spot, hello sweet, or we're lucky enough, and Chrissy gives us just a tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental. And folks, thank you so much for coming back and listening to our first ever Saab episode of our podcast. It's episode 92. And you know, I had a good one in there, but whoever replaced it with the Saab episode, you are absolutely right to do so.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So if
Right?
you're not driving your car right now, don't forget your E1R bingo card. It's fun. It's free. Send us a picture if you get bingo.
We have yet to see any of those.
I was going to say, let's ask around the table, who has had the oldest Saab? Who's got the oldest OG? Like, I had an 86 900S. Non-turbo.
I had the SPG, and I think that was an 86 as well.
What? I don't know what.
Let's go ahead, Chrissy. Sorry.
What? I don't know what the year was for the Born from Jets 900.
Also around the same era.
I don't remember the year.
I thought that was a little later. That was like a 90-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say no.
I've had 3 9000 turbos.
That's
a 96, an 89, and an 86. I had the second year 9000 turbo that I paid $200 for. So
Chris wins that game.
No, we were all tied. We all had
hey.
86.
Okay.
86,
yeah.
86, 86.
Clearly
But
the best year to get a Saab.
If we're going to Saab geek for a second, go find the Saab 9000 video of, it was a Saab promotion video set to a concert. It was a classical music concert where they're just driving them all around and doing like acrobatics with the Saab 9000s when it first came out. And it is excellent. I think they call it like a Saab symphony.
Aaron, we're doing this just for you. We're talking about Saabs, extensively talking about Saabs for you.
Which Aaron? Wartburger Aaron? What
No,
is
Aaron,
Aaron.
our Northern
right.
European listener.
Erling.
Oh,
yeah.
who gave us some feedback?
Who
which
drives
we will
the
note.
Toyota?
Give us a little
we
feedback.
will note the feedback.
The Swedish guy.
No,
gave us a
apologize.
Toyota. It's fine.
Notice we are all talking in smooth, mellifluous tones
And I will
tonight.
not
There will
yell.
no yelling.
Welcome,
Yep.
welcome
No
to the
yelling.
delicious dish, and
Right.
we're going to talk about toast.
We're like, this is fresh air.
So
I'm Chrissy.
that's a
So
great
let's
segue.
start with what you working on, Chrissy.
Sorry, trombone knocked off my headphones. Did I miss anything?
No.
Something you only hear on our podcast about cars.
Oh my. Okay, so we spent an extended weekend at the Cape last weekend, which seems really a long time ago. I really had to think about what I did last weekend
me
and this
too.
week because it's Friday. But the extended weekend was awesome. But our Tuesday meant that it was the first day of the work week, which messed us up all week. But other than that, pretty normal week. I'll let Chris and Jeff talk about why we didn't record on Wednesday. I did some normal stuff like mowing the lawn, farming in our garden. That's about it. All is well.
I mean, farming in our garden means walk over there.
Oh,
pick
come
the
on.
things and walk
I had to
back.
move some plants. I've watered the garden. Like, it's a pretty extensive garden.
I
doing
don't think you appreciate the level of effort that goes into raising your own vegetables, Chris.
I don't think you appreciate the level of effort that goes into our experiment in neglect-based gardening that is yielding amazing results.
We
I
had
was
like
gonna say.
full-out salads. We had fresh purple beans for dinner and snap peas for an appetizer, and it was lovely.
All out of the garden.
All out of the
I'm-
garden. I pulled them off a plant. They were growing like 5 minutes before.
I'm genuinely jealous of the snap peas.
He doesn't even have a house, so like
I will throw down on some snap peas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while you're throwing down on snap peas, why don't you tell us what you're working on?
So I've actually managed to finally get out there and do some junkyarding this week. The interesting thing out here, so it's I believe we're about 7 or 8 feet from the sun, judging by the heat. And all of the
my experience also with Vegas.
But all of the pick and pulls here are paved. Like
that
where
makes
the
them
cars,
cooler. Right?
No, it doesn't. Probably makes them hotter.
It absolutely totally doesn't. Where the cars are, they actually have concrete, and then the rows, it's asphalt. So it's interesting.
Okay.
How many shoes did you melt?
Exactly. You got to get there early in the morning. Although they did let me into one of them in flip flops, and we'll talk about that reason why. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, it's Vegas. Whatever, dude. You're in a pick and pull lot. You're not making good decisions. So,
isn't that for any pick and pull lot that you go into? It doesn't just have to be just in Vegas.
No. The rules are so complete. Like all the ones out by you guys are all mud. I don't think they use dirt. I think they actually pre-mix it and make sure it's always mud. For the ones in Georgia were always. Yeah, I know. The ones in Georgia were always gravel, but the ones here, and honestly, I think it's an environmental thing. The ones in Georgia are all gravel, like probably 6 inches of gravel.
Yeah, permeable.
Yeah,
so that chemical can get right to the groundwater.
Exactly. So that's why I think all the ones here are concrete and paved. What was interesting is the difference in the age of the car. You would think in a place where there's no rust, you'd have a lot older cars. In Georgia, there was never a time I couldn't go to the pick and pull and not find a Volvo 240, like at least 3 to 5 of them at all times.
Lots of college professors down there.
Perhaps.
And Northeastern transports. Like they came down from the Northeast and brought their Volvo with them.
Fair. But there are no rear-wheel drive Volvos in the junkyard here. None. They're all front drivers.
What are you going to do?
In fact, I don't know. Yeah, I know, right? Well, luckily my car.
You have to gather stuff from the Bay Area of California. There's lots of Volvos there because lots of professors, and it doesn't rust. Or they rust from the top down in the Bay Area. Yeah.
I did find another set of wheels. There was a Volvo C70 convertible that had a set of 18-inch TSWs, and for $22 a piece, could not resist.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, we'll see if they fit on the car when I get a set of tires.
They can't be worse than the ones that were on there that shook violently between 50 and 65.
And that's basically where I was going from. Is so the next time Chrissy rides in the Volvo, she won't be able to do that thing where she just would hold one note and go.
That's exactly what I did.
Exactly.
And then I changed the note just for fun.
And no one in the car questioned what she was doing because we all knew what she was doing. And she's like, "How did you stand this for 12 hours?" I'm like, "No, if I go 10 miles an hour faster, it goes away." So it didn't bother me.
Halfway into the trip, I said, "Why didn't we take the Suburban?"
Not sure. You care about the planet. That's why you're growing your own vegetables.
Yeah, that's
but I found a smart car in the Saab section.
It's
a
close.
Saab themed episode. Everybody.
They're both weird. That's all the junker needs to know.
So I
had extra space to put a tiny car.
Exactly. So I sent out a message because Hamza has the smart car that he got from Jim Thwaite. And he sends me, he's like, "Hey, I need these 2 computers. One of them is the engine control computer and the other one is the transmission unit." And I opened where the engine is and I saw pavement. So there was no engine in the smart car. But I did get Hamza a transmission control module. Cool. But in more important and bigger news, we finally found a car for Vicky that has air conditioning. And despite the multitude of excellent advice from my friends, from my family, and my podcast co-host, we made a horrible high mileage decision. This car has 200,000 miles on it.
That's not a lot.
It's European
for a new car.
It's European of some sort, and it's luxury of some sort, and it means half the things don't work.
Rattles.
Okay.
But the air conditioning does work. So before we go on there, knowing that you'll see it at a Lucky Dog race once Vicky gets her new car, anybody want to take any guesses And I don't need
Chris
to.
probably already knows.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Generation.
Can we each ask one question?
Posted nothing. I posted. Yes, that's a great idea. Ask a question.
This is terrible because this is my plan for the end of the show is to play this exact same game. So
we can
go on anyway.
We'll skip it. We'll go to the end of the show.
No, I want to flesh this out. This is fun. We'll do it again with Jeff's.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you have to start with continent of origin. You have to give us at least that.
We know it's European.
He said it was European, and he's right.
Good.
I'm going to ask.
I am still mental.
Ballpark price.
$1,000.
Oh no!
I'm guessing Saab right now.
Oh no!
There is nothing that is European that has lost more value than a Saab. Saab.
So you're saying Saab, Jeff?
I'm saying Saab without even asking my question. If I'm wrong, I'll ask my question.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Go ahead and ask your question because it might provide situational awareness to somebody else. And if your question is it's a Saab, I'm gonna skip you.
No, it's not a Saab. Let me say, I will like to know the wheel drive, rear, all, front.
Ooh, now that is an excellent question, and it is all-wheel drive.
Is it a sedan?
It is a sedan.
Is it a lifted sedan?
One question only, please.
It is actually unmodified.
I meant not. You're not like lifting.
Volvo XC90.
Jeff is wrong.
That's an SUV, Jeff. Audi A6.
Oh, that would have been a good choice, but you were also wrong.
Passat.
No. We have an E36 BMW 325 iX.
They didn't make an E36 325 iX.
I'm sorry. E46.
Okay.
E46.
For $1,000. I'm impressed that you got
$1,000 with air conditioning.
That's not the worst.
No, you could do much worse than
That's
that.
not the worst.
I think this is a quality decision.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
I think you're going to tell me it was
Mercedes?
an 03 Range Rover or a 97, no worse, like a 97 Mercedes ML320, which is the worst car Mercedes has ever made.
I was thinking
and there were
Mercedes.
several in that price range, and but I could not. I could suck up an ML500. I can't suck up an ML320. Can't do it. But because we had the conversation about the Range Rover on text, and we'd found several Range Rover HSEs, and Chris pointed out, he said, look, nobody loves Range Rovers and European V8s more than me, and I'm never going to own one of those. And what I realized is for the price, I don't want a Range Rover. I want another Disco. And if I'm going to have an unreliable European SUV, I'm just going to buy a Discovery and be happy when it runs that it's a Disco. And there are several here that are like $1,100, but they all need one or two things.
Three Migos. It's either head gaskets or three Migos. That's every Discovery ever.
There's one $975. It needs the front axles reinstalled. And if I had a garage, I would already be making a bad decision. So so the air conditioning works on our E46 325xi, and it's got the sport seats with the adjustable lumbar support. Which
why isn't it worth anyone in Vegas buy an all-wheel drive BMW?
I have no idea, but this car was Vegas born. The guy we bought it from lives out here, and what he does is he buys cars at auction and then he ships them back to Wisconsin. And this one is such a pile, he didn't want to ship it back to Wisconsin because it needs a bunch of little stuff. And in fact, we hit the junkyard on the way home from buying the car to get a new passenger side mirror.
Cool.
Nice.
All right.
So if it lasts till Vicky gets her proper SUV, expect to see it at a Lucky Dog race near you.
All right. Well, that's awesome. I guess I will go because I have to go before Chris. So I made a mad dash 24 hours after recording our last podcast to our nation's capital to trade race cars with Hamza. Give him back his race car. Take the one that is owned. That I know. And then take the one that is technically owned by Shirtless Matt. Do we have a name for Matt? Can we call him Shirtless Matt?
Shirtless Matt is good.
I'm good with Shirtless Matt.
Right. So it technically
Shirtless
owned by
Matt.
Yeah. Shirtless Matt technically owns it, and I want to say that I remember mentioning that I had a hellacious drive last time to Hamps's house, but I took a different way around Baltimore, and it was a very pleasant trip, including the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, not the Bay Bridge Tunnel, and it was Thursday night, and it was late, and I bam, picked it up, and it's one of the cool cars that GM built that just as it got good, they stopped effing making it.
Like they do with everything.
Exactly.
Including the manufacturer itself.
Yeah, if you're an Insta or Facebook friend, you already know we have a Pontiac Solstice. I believe we talked about a former podcast? I don't know.
We may have hinted at it.
Yeah. We may have hinted at it. So we have a Pontiac Solstice.
It's been all over our IG.
It is a naturally aspirated, not a turbo, former track car that took a little trip into a tire wall and has all the it's basically a street car with a bar.
Yeah, the air conditioning works.
You also got the cookie in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
and it's great to drive, and you're a midget.
Yes.
You become
the
a
race
midget.
seats in it are really low.
Yeah.
So
Really
I got in it to pull it out of the trailer. Just sorry to run it over
go,
through here.
no.
And then I couldn't see anything. So everybody kept saying, "Just keep driving, just go straight." And I was like, my eyes were the only thing out of the window.
It's like Grandma Moses trying to drive this thing.
I can't see out the back. I said no one can.
Short.
I am not short. No.
You're not short at all. Wow.
No.
Okay.
Well, it has a very high belt line, and the seat is mounted to the floor directly with no sliders, so it's low. Like Jim fits in it with all kinds of room. Right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Okay. So I'll keep doing what you're working on, and then we can get to more about it when we get to Chris's thing. So the mighty long roof Mazda 3 is still down. The oil pan came out on Saturday, and it was amazing how rusty it was. It had like a crust of rust, like scaled rust on it, and it was weeping through the rust.
Yeah, I had an 86 CRX that did that, but that was a long time ago. And it was an 86 CRX.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned that the oil pan took a hit like early in its life, like 6 months into its life in 2012, and it was kind of weeping like right where the dent was. So I took it off and I figured, well, I'll just wire wheel it up and find out how big this hole is. And I wire wheeled it, and more holes just kept showing up. The more I wire wheeled, the more holes it's got. So it's got 4 or 5 holes in it, big enough to stick a pencil through.
So it's not an oil pan so much as it's an oil colander.
Yes.
Like for noodles.
Yeah. So I decided not to weld it or JB weld it. Rock Auto to the rescue. Logged right on 2012 Mazda 3. Why isn't it asking me my VIN code, since there are more than 1 2-liter engines that were input in this? Maybe
because
we had
this conversation on text, and I was going to get you a Las Vegas rust-free one.
Yeah. So I looked at the picture and I said, well, that doesn't look right, but Rock Auto never fails me. Click to buy. 3 days later, open the box. That ain't it. Damn it.
That's but terrible.
It's but terrible.
Yes, that is, but very un-Rock Auto-like.
I know. And it was like, I trust Rock Auto more than I trust the picture. Mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So
Rock Auto, if you want to apologize to us, we'll accept sponsorship.
Sure, I'll be calling them tomorrow to return my pan. So I basically clicked around to figure out where the right pan is, and for some reason they don't know that in 2012 the Skyactiv motor started going in. But by 2014, Skyactiv was the only 2-liter. So if I go to 2014 and I put in the 2-liter, bam, right picture, not available. Went to a couple of the flaps. Can't get it, even though it's in our catalog.
This is so crazy to me.
So crazy. I drove to the Mazda dealership.
It's a new car.
I
know.
Things are everywhere.
I know. Skyactiv 2-liter motors, they put them in a bunch of stuff.
They still make them.
They still make them. So I drove to the Mazda dealership in my pickup truck, and I got a queasy feeling. I was like, I can't even walk in and ask. So I got on my phone and I went to carpart.com and I said, I'm going used. Listen to these numbers. 10, 369, 393, 396, 412, 454. That is the number of miles that every Mazda 3 oil pan in every junkyard on carpart.com is listed. 10 miles away, 396 in Canada, yep. 393 in Canada, 396 in Canada, 412 Canada, 412 Canada, 454 Detroit.
So the 10 is what's wrong with that one?
So I called the 10 mile away. I swear to God, 10.
You're right, you're going there.
It's my favorite one. It's the one where I bought all my S10 parts. I drove there, and they said,
"Hey, Jeff, what's up? Good to see you, man.
They
been around
typed
for
it in.
a while."
The woman behind the counter. It's a big place. They got like 4 counter people. They're really good. She said, "What?" And I told her again, and she said, number 2445, which was the same item number I had. And I said, "Yep, that's the one." And she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I have no idea why this is in the inventory. It's in a motor. It's blown, but it's not pulled. And I can't pull the motor for an oil pan." And I said,
"So let me go. Let me go. I will pull the motor myself right now.
Why not?
Because it's not expensive enough.
It's not expensive enough." And I said, "Well, can I buy the whole thing?" "Why, yes, you can. And it is many $100s. "No, I will not."
I'll make you feel better. That one, I looked at it too. It's a mid pan. It's not the lower pan that you need. So feel better.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
They have the whole motor.
The place in Williamstown. Yeah,
Jeff,
I saw the pictures.
Jeff,
I saw the pictures.
Send me the VIN numbers. Send me the VIN numbers. I will have it tomorrow.
Eighth digit is 8.
Yeah, 8th
That's all
digit
you
is
need
8.
to know.
Sky Active. So I called. I decided my French was not good enough. I skipped all of the Canadian ones, and I called
Quebec though. Really?
Yes, I called Detroit. Mitch's Auto Parts in Detroit. Mitch answered the phone. Mitch says he has it. He says it is slightly dead.
That's where we got a bunch of the parts for the Civic, actually.
Yes, it is.
We don't know
Mitch's Auto Parts.
We know Dr. What's his face? He's an extreme experience instructor.
Yes. Mitch's Auto Parts again is coming to the rescue. I was amazed that Mitch answered. He said, "It's on the car. I have to pull it. I can't mail it today, and I don't have a guy to pull it today, but I'll pull it on Monday and send it right out to you. But I don't want to take your money in case it's so bad that I don't want to sell it to you." So he said he's going to pull it and he's going to check it, and I'm going to call him on Monday, and if it's good, he'll run my credit card and send it to me.
Oh my gosh!
We should totally sponsor them.
Totally.
What a crazy issue.
Yeah. It was funny because I was talking to my wife and I was like, I know Mitch's Auto Yard in Detroit. I don't know where. I don't know why I know them, but Mitch answered the phone.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And a story.
Dr. Brandon Korfel of Extreme Experience fame
works there and got us some Civic parts.
Actually, brought out of medical to keep working for Mitch's because he liked it better.
Yeah. And actually, funny story, none of the parts we got from them are currently on the car. Anyway.
Chris,
some of them are spares.
Chris, what are you up to?
Hey, I'm going to make this quick because my co-hosts have talked for 23 minutes about what they're working on. I unloaded the trailer finally. It had been sitting there since we got back from the
we did a lot of travel.
Yep. Cleaned the gutters on the Cape House, and there was I think the ecosystem in the gutters, especially on the north side of the house, were about to form a democracy. That's how long they had been there and the level of their civilization was.
There were like trees from there were trees growing from.
The tribal council of the North Gutter of the Bay House.
Basically,
yes. Unfortunately, we interrupted their ecosystem. Inspected the roof. And decided that we needed a new one, so that's fun because amazingly, a house on the water with the roof facing the south side wears out faster than expected. Who'd have thought?
Yep.
Worked
so none of you guys have seen John Wick 3 because none of you guys go to see movies. But there's a scene where Halle Berry gets really upset because something happens, and John Wick goes, "Believe me, I get it." So when it comes to new roofs, believe me, I get it.
So check your story off. Mental tell the story that goes
Just
nowhere.
did it.
Check
Picked
that
up
one
my
off.
phone.
Good.
Did it as you said it.
Good. Got that one too. Anyway, what else did I do? Worked on the tan in a book, and then I picked up the Solstice from Jeff, and we had to do that real fast because we knew we had to put this thing on the frame rack because we know it was a little suede. You could just tell. So
trapezoid.
Right. So I work at an insurance company. we have some body shops, especially locally, that we work closely with. So I talked to our head of appraisal. He called the shop. We talked about it. This is a place that had previously put the Civic on their frame rack, so they're okay. So anyway, if you're near Reading, Pennsylvania, Glass and Sons Collision, they do weird stuff and do a nice job. So anyway, they said, yeah, I can take that. I kind of need it on a Friday. If you want me to have it done in time so you can get it back before July 19th, which is when I said I needed it. Yeah, I kind of need it on Friday. So this is Wednesday, and I said, well, we're going to Jeff's tonight because I need to get it, and I need to get the bumper off of it, and Jeff has more important things to do on Thursday, being that it's his son's birthday. So this is so Chrissy and I drove down, picked it up. We pulled the bumper off in Jeff's driveway, which is great. I pulled some more stuff off of it on yesterday, and this morning at 7:05, there I was unloading and talked to him about it. He said, yep, that's definitely suede. And he's just worried it's actually punched in like where the frame meets the firewall on this. It's a really odd construction, the Solstice. It's like a frame with it really is like an old school frame with different modules for the front end, or for the center area, the body area, and then for the trunk. Like the whole trunk is fiberglass. That's it. Like behind the passenger compartment, there's nothing but frame rails and a fiberglass tray. That's the trunk. Like that's just how they do it. So anyway, he's going to put it on the rack. He was hoping to put it on today and work on it today and Monday and give it back to me Tuesday. So we'll find out. Yeah, mental.
I feel like we would be in error if we did not acknowledge that the host or the co-host of our favorite now defunct podcast, Josh, had a birthday, which you did acknowledge. He might listen. Happy birthday, Josh.
I like going, who's he talking about? Josh with a podcast. Oh, my son. Yes, my son turned 11 yesterday.
Oh. And honestly, love the tribute you put up there, because he is definitely your son.
Totally.
And that's a compliment.
Did you say janky?
He's not janky. He does not suffer from the that. He's going to be who he is for the rest of his life, and God bless him for it.
Okay, let's move on to News and notes. Okay, so
how are your sweaty balls today?
Today in news and notes, there were some changes to the Lucky Dog rules. So I was interested to hear what.
I'm glad you're covering this. I saw it and was like, I'm covering that on the show.
Oh,
good job for catching it.
Actually, same deal too, because I had a photo on my phone and I was but Chrissy beat us all to it and had the whole thing all typed up.
I did
made
these notes.
Sense.
I did all these notes a while this week. Anyway, I thought they were interesting changes compared to what Lemons does. So first of all, they won't give out wristbands to the team captain. I'm not sure why that says that. They have to put on the wristbands individually to the person that owns it, which sounds like a great call, and I'm sure this is, there's issues of why they all made these rules. So driver meeting roll call. Thought this was interesting. They're randomly selecting two teams to confirm they all attended, all drivers and the team captain. No stand-ins, 5-minute start penalty if you don't show up, and expulsion if a team is misrepresented. Mental.
The wristbands, if you remember back in the day when we would go get our team packages, they would give you all the drivers' wristbands and you would put them on. But apparently some bad dogs, as they were called in Lucky, have been abusing that. And folks have not been going and like folks that actually paid and their driver's license and all that currency stuff were not the same people that were wearing the wristbands.
Right. In Lucky Dog, not Lemons. I don't think.
No. Yeah, Lucky Lemons closed this loophole a while back.
Right.
Man, if they checked that we were all at the driver's meeting at a Lemons race, we'd be screwed.
Oh,
well, that's why I thought this was
interesting. The paddock is not at the
driver's
race.
You talk crazy. We are all early to every driver's meeting. I have never missed a driver's meeting.
I'm making pancakes when
we always have a representative who tells us that.
We send Jim.
We bring Eric coffee.
Sometimes.
I've done like 50 races. What are they going to tell me?
Depending on my costume for the weekend, sometimes the driver's meeting is like a moment to freak people out. Yeah, agreed.
The shark is still the best.
Mr. Shark goes and yells at the guy in Thompson. Anyway, okay, so
fantastic shark. Come on,
fantastic shark.
No early gridding or or you go to the back of the line. They were talking about no lining up at dark 30. They had people like lining up at midnight to grid. Like, really? Are you that dedicated
they're
like
going to dominate? Don't worry.
It's a 7-hour race. I better be up front.
And honestly, I think, a lot of people, like, I read stuff on other series. They're like, oh, Lemons does this and Lemons that. You know what Lemons never does? We're never so aggressive that people are gridding their cars at 2:30 in the morning. Everyone's still drinking. In fact, how many times does Steve or Jay or Phil or Eric have to go, seriously, guys, seriously, the race starts in 5 minutes. Please.
Well, we're actually the people trying to get our team.
They don't care. Like, you don't show up, they go, whatever. You pay.
And the worst, the reason that this doesn't happen at Lemons is they will not throw the green flag on someone who's first. They will rotate the field, and randomly throw the green. So there is no
How many times did the boat get the green? The boat got the green all the time.
Got the green a lot.
Because
it got your eye. It caught your eye.
Also, just cool cars. I think, the Citroen, Citroen was never running, but things cars like that. There's other C-Class interesting cars that have been the green flag just because it's interesting. Okay, let's keep moving. Lost logbooks. Bring it to tech inspection. $100 for replacement. Thought it was interesting that they need to keep consistent logbooks. Didn't know that they did that, and don't lose it if you do.
Most series do.
Oh, well, we don't, so we don't care. So we're going to stick the Lucky Dog promo right here. They're an awesome racing series. I truly believe you should go and race somewhere different, whether it be a different series or different track. Variety is the spice of life. Our winners from a Lucky Dog racing drawing that Kathy put together many podcasts ago, was like way long time ago. Our BFFs, Garage Heroes, are racing with Lucky Dog this weekend in Portland. So we're going to have to figure out how they did and what they experienced. Go to racelucky.com, go find a schedule, sign yourself up now.
It's Garage Heroes. I'm sure they'll have a story.
A long story.
Hi, Bill. And Alan.
It'll be great.
And Vicky. And everybody.
Who are probably listening to this while they're driving out there right now.
No, I think Bill's the only one who drove.
No. Bill and family are in Hawaii on a vacation before they go. So they flew from Pennsylvania to Hawaii to Portland.
I thought Bill is driving the van.
No.
No. What Chris is saying.
Jen and Jim are driving their diesel Ram with towing the camper out across the country and make a nice vacation out of this.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
I wish I was farther north because I would host those guys. But if they drive down to my house, they clearly don't understand geography.
Yeah. Right.
But hey, guys, I know you'll be listening to this tomorrow, so safe travels. We all four of us love you.
Yeah.
Yep.
In some unhappy news, the family of Davy Johnson now has closure. His remains were located earlier this week. Rather than focus on the negative of the situation, his coworkers and friends are posting excellent tributes, and links to some of the more interesting, creative ones are posted on our Facebook page. I didn't know until I read this that Davy was one of the founders of the Brown Car Appreciation Society, and it's based on one of his pieces called Baby Best on a Brown Fiesta. And I posted that on, I believe, our Facebook. I think I put it on our Instagram too. It's brilliant. For those of you that are into artsy creations, it's also on YouTube. They have a rock video that he collaborated with, that he created with Peter Hughes. He also wrote, who also wrote a great tribute on Auto Week's page. All of these are in our show notes. If you just Google his name, you'll find great pieces. Let's keep moving. Sorry to hear.
He had a brown Mercedes 6.9, which I'm a fan of big Mercedes with big motors, and it's brown.
There is nothing wrong with that. Everything about that is perfect.
Everything about it is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
out of respect, I wait to say this. I got bingo already.
I'm close.
Wow.
It is early. Bill, Garage Heroes, Kathy from Lemons, Free Space, Insta, Facebook, and Mental tells a story that goes nowhere.
Heck yeah, it's good bingo.
It's early today.
Damn.
Sorry.
No,
That's
don't be
legit.
sorry. It's
No,
awesome
that's
sauce.
great.
I aim to please. For those that are still playing bingo, so Champ Car was at Big Wello this past weekend. Saturday, the top spot went to Team Roto Pluker and a 90 RX-7. Second was Pomona Speed Shop and an E30, and third was a Miata from Silver Fern. Now, Sunday was an exact carbon copy of all that, with the exception of the top spot, which went to Uncommon Friends Racing in a 78 280Z. What's interesting about that is both Saturday and Sunday, they were the fastest lap.
Ooh,
So what you're saying is that 10 cars did not get a trophy.
and a really old car got the fastest lap. Sounds
Hey,
exciting.
you know what? I don't want to take anything from Uncommon Friends because clearly they earned that.
Clearly. Okay, in other events, our rally expert Santiago sent us the results from not only the Idaho rally, but the NASA Up rally, UP rally as well. So in Idaho, 43 cars and 3 UTVs started, 15 DNFs. Ooh, that's a lot.
Ouch.
Yeah. Seahorn Crawford in the 2015 STI Limited at four-wheel drive, privateer team in first. Stanek Peterson, 08 STI in the open class in second. Markham, I don't even know how to say that last name, Mr. S. Yoakum,
Cat walks on the keyboard.
Yamaha UTV, a UTV beat 26 cars. Awesome.
This is the first actual use of a UTV I've ever heard where it's not worse than a Jeep Wrangler at what it's doing.
Yeah.
Probably.
Really?
Because the Jeep Wrangler did win its class. It was cool. But whoever those guys, the Markham Cat walks on a keyboard guys in a UTV, dude, you guys got it figured out. So God bless you.
Right?
I got to see one of these. There was also the NASA rally in Powers, Michigan. That's the Upper Peninsula 2 weekends ago. 22 cars, 5 up where the Yoopers are. Mm-hmm. 22 cars, 5 Subarus.
Boring.
3 Volkswagens, 2 Fords, 2 Hondas, a Saturn Ion Redline.
What?
Donnie, that's for you, baby.
Don't yell.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Erling.
Sorry. And a 2-wheel drive XJ Cherokee.
Yeah.
There were 7 DNFs. 7 DNFs.
That seems like a third of the field seems like the standard DNF.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So
those guys race hard.
I don't like fixing my car enough to do rally.
Well, then this is not up your alley because Hooky and Hooky, Hukki, won in their Eagle Talon. Oh, yeah. That's working a lot over the weekend.
A blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes.
Exactly. Well, this is the reason I bought my 1993 Eagle all-wheel drive TSI Talon was so that I could go out rallying, and then I got bit by the lemons bug. So
that was like 5 years after you sold your Talon, but
I know that.
Just
Hurst and Hurst. No, I still had it.
No, all right, fine.
So Hurst and Hurst in their Ford Capri, a father-daughter team.
That's awesome.
Second place. Van Dam and Carlson in a diesel VW Golf came in third place. So cool.
Hey, and the next rally is the New England Forest Rally. Links for that are in the show notes. Don't hit a tree.
Oh, maybe we should find out when that is.
Maybe we
could go to it. If it's next
it's
weekend,
up in
we'll
Maine
go.
or something. Yeah.
It's not next weekend,
away.
but no, you're right. You guys could totally roll up there and do that. Because apparently that's one of Santiago's bucket list rallies. He wants to do that one. It's supposed to be the Finland of New England.
Yeah, Maine's only like 8 hours minimum from here.
Actually, I don't think
8
it's
to
Maine
16 hours, but
the Maine rally is called Maine Forest. The New England Forest, I think, is lower down.
But anyway.
We're in the lower down.
So as you are listening to this, the folks over at Lemons are at Gingerman right now. They've got 88 cars. 6 of them are BMWs. Boring. 13 Hondas. There's only 1 Miata. There's only 1 P-car, and there's some copycat in a Rolls Royce.
Oh, it already blew up.
I'm just kidding. Good luck to you. Okay.
So this just in, and Chrissy kind of
Sorry.
let it leak. Our
don't
buddies
you read the
at
other
Rolls,
show notes, Chrissy?
I know.
I didn't read the next line. Sorry.
You don't get to
buddies
hassle Jeff about that next time he does that to you. Just saying.
Sorry.
Our buddies Rolls-Royce doesn't care already blew up their Rolls. Details are sketchy, but on the Insta it is implied that they blew up between judging and their paddock.
Oh no.
Because people were saying like, why are they testing that thing? Like it's not going to get any. And they were like, nope, weren't testing. They were just coming back from judging.
So apparently, a Viper V10 is not the answer for endurance racing. This is a 0 for 2 sample, and it's not going well.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, ours only went so well.
Hey, the engine actually was the best part of the Rolls-Royce. That engine was a tank. Really, I looked at it in quite a lot of detail and looked at all the incredible diagrams in the 5-volume owner's manual set we had. That engine really was amazing. The transmission was a TH400. It's just the suspension and brakes were the reason it couldn't be raced. Anyway,
let's keep moving.
Some of the good Landshark, they're always a strong contender, as are Lemonade and their E30, Save the Tatas, and our buddies Apocalyptic Racing and their Ecotech powered Celica. Because hey, rear-wheel drive Ecotech, we're suddenly a fan of that and want it to work because we want it to work for us. I guess we're gonna have to talk to Brad and say, what do we do to make this not blow up soon?
Right.
And maybe he'll tell us, hey, Brad, if you're listening, shoot us an email. How do you keep your thing alive when it keeps alive? So I don't really want to blow the solstice up.
Thing alive.
Anyway, that's the good.
The Lemony fellow. Oh, and I just looked it up. Newry, Maine is where the
it's still Maine.
rally is. Yes, but it's near the Vermont border. It's like right on the Vermont border.
It's still far.
Except Maine and Vermont don't share a border. There's that thing called New Hampshire in between. But
wait a second,
Keep going, Jeff. You're supposed to be reading.
I'm not reading until I find this correct.
Fellow
So I'm
podcasters,
gonna keep reading.
cross-threaded racing has been detailed as their F-body Camaro built on the IG. Right. All that, baby. All the way from Michigan to Michigan from Georgia. Hopefully their teething and break-in will be uneventful. Good luck.
Nightmare on Elm Street in their 92 DSM will be there. Knox Vegas Lowballers will be there in their inexplicably reliable TR8. How does that thing keep going?
Who knows?
Monkey Paw has a 72 Opel GT, and Red Ace is bringing their Lancer OZ Rally Edition. Hashtag why you ruin classic.
All right, I got some funny ones. Those guys are assholes in a Subaru 2.5 RS, which would infuriate the Boxster Jihad. Stain your lane, the motto for any gearhead who rents a condo. I didn't write this. Is in a 98 Civic. There is Horse's Ass. Great name. Bad car in a 95 Mustang. Pierre's Limousine and guide service in a Ford Focus. Okay, so we're talking Lemons Rally now. Host number 5, Eric Rude, got us the 22 paid entries for the Bangor to Bangor Lemons Rally.
And as Mental is getting his beer refilled, I'll just fill this one in. And hey, the boring is
fantastic.
Folks who pick something smart. The Porsche Brown Miata Wagon team is in a Honda Insight, so they'll be comfortable and reliable and get 60 miles per gallon the whole time, which is great. And hey, Mental, sorry, you just missed your cue. It's a good thing.
Sorry, I tried to get here as quickly as possible.
No, it's a good thing because I can actually pronounce this. Das Überdieselkraftfahrzeug is one of 2 Mercedes diesels. The other ones...
I did practice it. I practiced it. But no, but exactly.
Quick German pronunciation tip for our listeners. In German, you actually pronounce every single letter, even though it seems ridiculous, and you get these letters that are 800 words that are 800 letters long. Just actually pronounce every letter. They don't have any weird things like English where we skip it. No, that's silent. Nope, it's
exactly.
Fahrzeug.
Those 2 letters working together to make one sound, not in German, baby.
Nope, say them all, and that's how you get it.
And you probably know this better than I do, but if I remember correctly too, like most German words are like, especially the long words, are just a combination of words. Like the original word for diesel was internal combustion engine that does not run on gasoline, but luckily the guy that invented it was German and his name was Diesel.
Well, his name was Rudolph Diesel, but this is not Native American. You're not man
Fair
who
enough.
tells stories that go nowhere. That would be your Native American
that
name.
story went something. But my point being is the Mercedes, they probably don't have air conditioning, but it's New England. Who cares? And those cars are going to run till long after the human race is off this planet.
And in New England, the junkyards are full of those that are rusted beyond belief, but the mechanicals are fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna just back up Mental for a moment here and say he is right. German words are just combinations of real words. Chris, please translate Krankenschwester.
No.
It's sick sister. It's the word for a nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick sister. That's a nurse.
Yeah. See, it works. So, hey, back to the actual rally now.
Exactly.
Go on.
So the daring, like, really, what are you guys thinking? Some guys are having the Jensen Healy's flying circus in a 74 Jensen Healy. Yeah, that Lotus 907 motor is going to do great on this. Well done.
And there are parts everywhere.
Oh, yeah, totally. Suburban sprawl in a 2001 Suburban. I mean, that's going to be a wonderful, comfortable ride, but your gas bill is going to make ExxonMobil smile. Red Dwarf is in a 74 Beetle, and I've done a long-term banger rally in an air-cooled Beetle, and that was just plain miserable.
I mean, yours wasn't good, so it's not like
ours was the parts car for the South Jersey Volkswagen Club.
Couldn't you see through the holes in the floor?
Oh yeah, but that gave you ventilation as you were driving. It was kind of nice.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that was of the
that
Beetles
was a feature.
That you could have. Yeah, of the Beetles that you could have done that rally in, you chose one of the best ones, and these guys are just mean.
Anyway, don't do that. And then there's the opulent folks at Rolling Violations in their 84 Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit. And having owned a Rolls-Royce that is the exact same chassis with a slightly rounder body, I know how terrible that is going to be. It's going to be amazingly comfortable, but it's going to break.
I hope they brought the bubble flare tool. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. When they break one of the 67, not kidding, 67 hydraulic hoses in the car, things will go poorly. That's it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mental.
Isn't this the one that Eric told us about? Like the initial photo on Instagram was the car sitting in a Canadian snowbank.
Yeah, I think probably. So that means it's definitely not rusty on those 67 steel hydraulic lines underneath.
Yeah. I don't know how you missed this on your daring list, but the D-listers are bringing their 87 X19.
Oh, maybe you should read ahead in the show notes. You know, the part that's colored in your color.
It is. I'm getting to it.
This is his color.
He finished his, and I'm going next.
Yeah.
The testicles are rolling in their 85 Saab 900. We need
more
to like
Saab.
I know more Saab. It is the blend. They're going to blend in with the locals. Young, Dumb, and Broke have their 81 Pontiac Bonneville Safari.
Long roof for life.
Long roof, baby. And I can't wait to see the Space Force One Volkswagen Golf TDI.
Why?
I don't know. It's somebody else wrote it.
Nice.
I actually care.
Space Force One. This has got to be funny. This is like the Boba Fett vet that
Sure.
they did their rally on the other one. They're going to be hysterical.
Force. Space Force.
All right. Hey,
Look,
Eric
there's
also.
a lot here.
No, Eric also reminded us he's got 8 more registered but unpaid, and knowing this like motley group of fools, who knows who's going to show up handing Eric like wadded up bills out of their sock. No, he should have assigned no boot money. Yeah.
No boob sweat. No boob sweat handed to Eric.
And there's probably going to be a couple of random people that just show up and go, can we go? And Eric will say, yeah, okay, fine.
Sure.
Whatever. Everyone here makes poor decisions. That's fine. So there we go.
A lot of old iron in this one, I thought, when I looked at the list.
No, I really wish we could go on one of these. We just haven't made it a priority to really go yet.
It's so hard to waste all that vacation when I have a heavy racing schedule.
I know. I still want to do it in a tired Porsche 928 that has working air conditioning. That would be the way to go.
That'd be great. I'm down.
There's one of those that's on Facebook Marketplace right now, Chris, for Lemon's budget money. We'll talk.
Mm-hmm. I don't want it. I have enough cars.
As I say,
I'll buy the car. You just come out here to the rally.
Interruption. I need a gavel. As I say slowly and smoothly into the microphone. See, Erling, this is why we yell. I yell because I have to shut them up. But I'm not going to yell. And Erling.
And what planet are you the one that has to shut all of us up? I love you, Jeff, but come on now.
I'm the traffic cop. I'm the one who usually screams, listener feedback. Anyway, Early, you told us not to yell, and we're trying. So hopefully this is being helpful. He said it hurts his ears, and Chrissy especially, stop yelling. Go on, Chrissy.
So it was totally me because I was recording last week. Chris was not at the computer. I was on his computer at his mic recording, and we've found that anybody who is recording is naturally louder for whatever reason. Can't figure out why. but how we record, whoever's recording, they're louder. My fault. I apologize.
Actually know this, and I understand the science. Skype is compressing our voice. We record by Skype, everyone. We're going to let you behind the wall. So if Chrissy is who's recording right now, Chrissy or Chris? Chris is.
You.
So,
no, actually, Jeff. No, Jeff, you're recording.
I'm doing the
call.
backup recording. So if I screamed, it would be overly loud on the backup recording, but hopefully we're not going to use the backup recording, so I'll just scream.
Don't scream. Now Erling's going to get mad. Stop.
Okay, stop.
He's listening to earbuds. He's driving a bus right now.
I know.
You just endangered the life of a bunch of people.
All right. Just hopefully Mental won't laugh too loud. Someone else talk about something else.
I promise nothing. So what we talked about last week, we're having DEET during our Just the Tip thing, and we talked about DEET. So Michael Krenzer, he commented on our discussion, and it is a potential carcinogenic, but as we mentioned, like most things that are bad for you, it worked really well. And I talked about a girl that I was deployed with who actually got poisoning through it. And so what Michael pointed out, it was actually not the DEET, it was the pyrethrin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which as a clothing spray is a really low dose for civilians, but the stuff to supply to the military is upped a little bit, and that is actually true. And it could reach toxic levels, mainly a severe flu-like allergic reaction, which was exactly what happened. She had a fever, she was lethargic, she was nauseous, and we sent her home early, and if she slept in the clothes and sweated enough, the thing it is, she didn't spray it on her clothes. She sprayed it straight onto her skin because she's a ginger. In fact, we always knew her call sign was the Ginger Ninja, and she sprayed it straight on her clothes and just got too drunk to take a shower like she always did before. But as Michael mentioned, not that I know from personal experience or anything. So what the key point of this is you don't want to mess around with the pyrethrin on your clothes and certainly not on your skin. And you know who's always good for your skin, good for your digestive system, and good for your soul? Chrissy's mom.
I'd just like to say that shout out made me lethargic and flu-like.
Hey, speaking of Chrissy's mom, quick snowflake update.
Ooh.
Snowflake passed inspection, barely.
Whoa!
Despite everything I did.
Wait, how did it barely pass inspection?
Well, the windshield had to get replaced.
Okay, because I have seen some of the rustiest pieces of crap up there, and as we mentioned, there was like no snow, no problem.
For some reason, it failed emissions. I think it's because the readiness monitors weren't all set because I'd replaced the battery recently.
Did it finally do that, or did
it passed now fine.
You got to drive it around a certain amount of time.
And I had driven it half an hour, but apparently it wasn't enough. Anyway,
they've all learned that trick. All the stations.
You'll love this. Hold on.
Anyway, also. More light bulbs were out, despite the fact that I already replaced 6 of them sitting in the driveway. Apparently more were still out that I had somehow missed. Mental had been driving this thing with at least a half dozen light bulbs out. Yeah.
No, all of it. Yeah. The only one that was out was the one that I told you about.
Oh, no.
The passenger side taillight.
Oh,
I
promise. And the front marker lights. All the time. And the two of the turn signals in the front. And seriously, I just kept replacing lights. Seriously. Unfortunately, I have a bag of bulbs.
Fit in protest of being sent up north because
I had a bag of bulbs out of all the parts cars and out of everything we've taken apart, and I just kept replacing stuff. And apparently, it wasn't enough. And here's another thing: I got the AC working right. It was great. It was cold.
Yeah.
And then the compressor seized up and broke the belt.
Nice.
Oh.
So I got a new compressor on the way. Yep.
GM.
Vicky will actually be upset about this because when I told Vicky everything that was working on the car that she got fixed, she's like, I'd be upset if we just sold it to somebody else, but that it's going to Chrissy's mom. I'm actually really happy that they're going to get a nice truck, and now she's going to be bummed that the.
Here's something that she's going to be really excited about. My mom got a vanity plate that says Snowflake.
Nice.
Oh, I didn't think it was possible for me to love your mom more. And
she submitted. We were sitting on the porch when we went to Wildwood. And she didn't realize you could just do the thing and you type in and figure out what's available and what's not. So we found SNWFLK or something is available. She put in 3 different, just make sure that one of them is going to take.
Versions, yeah.
Yeah, and they're all available. So she's getting a Snowflake, Yeah. So that will fix all of the problems, and that's why my mom is awesome.
I have to say, I've never owned a vanity plate ever in my life, but I've always wanted one. And maybe it's time to step up to the plate and buy some for the lorry or something.
Well, if you've got one that's worth it, then but it's got to be something that you're really sure about, like VTEC Yo and the NSX. Totally
that was great.
I just got bingo. I just got bingo.
You're like
an
hour late.
No, well, I don't care. I still got bingo. So we're talking about the NSX. Somebody commented, I drove the NSX today, and somebody came by and kind of commented at my car, and I was on the phone. They're just like, VTEC Yo? And I was like, yeah.
Yes, it is, Yo.
Yo?
Yeah, I just got that.
So something like that, or the Suburban's got Canyon Arrow on it. Simpsons reference. If you've never don't know what it means, look up Simpsons Canyon Arrow.
Or we're not friends with you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
But it's got to be good.
Jeff.
Don't yell.
You gotta stop doing that.
I'm well away from my microphone, and Chrissy
ASMR, Jeff. ASMR.
Okay.
Exactly. Chrissy yelled and it bothered.
Time.
There we go. Excellent.
It didn't work, Chris. It's just gross.
I'm just rubbing my microphone on my face for no reason.
I'm gonna be rude. I'm gonna interrupt Chrissy while she's
Here's my phone on the microphone.
That's terrible. I have lost all control of this podcast.
So Chrissy came up with this idea. She suggested this to us on our group text, and genuinely I got really, really excited. And this is part of what is going to be a 4-part episode, which if we go all the way back 92 episodes ago, this is really what we started this podcast to be about. So Chrissy, please.
And then we fell off the rails real fast.
I thought you were going to steal my thunder. Okay, so I'm going. Stay with me here. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs. So, as my goal to become a better driver, I have been trying to implement things to make myself a better driver, to make that happen. So, one of them was to finish Speed Secrets by Ross Bentley, which was on our list of books to read and blah, blah, blah. My first complaint that this book is a lot like studying. So it takes a lot of concentration, really thoughtful consideration when you're thinking about each of the techniques that he covers. And sometimes he covers them in quick, a page and a half, and it's a lot to think about. So this is actually why I stopped reading it. I got to a part where it was hard for me to comprehend, so I put the book down. And every time I opened it, I still found myself at this spot that I just didn't really understand. I found some really good excuses not to read it. So I was on a plane last week and I pushed through, and I'm glad that I did. So I found some topics that were really helpful to me today, but I feel a lot of them that I learned by chance and by having conversations with drivers who are better than me, and some of them I just still have no idea what they mean or what they do. So I wish I read the book earlier, but maybe it wasn't the time. So I think you need to take some time on track before you read the book. Hold on. I think you need time on track to read the book before you read the book, so you can picture the things he's talking about and you have some frame of reference. You want to finish, or you want to go ahead?
Just had a quick comment. It's the kind of book that it's probably a good idea to read early on, and you won't understand half of it, but you'll get introduced to concepts, and then to read again later on after you're better, because you'll understand it better and it'll cement things in your mind. So it's that's all.
Agreed. And I probably should have done that. And of course, like I said, I couldn't get through it all, and I decided that it was a lot like studying, and I was, but now I'm happy that I did. So for, now, if you've been racing a long time and you've been told just go faster, how do I go faster? And that's where I feel like I'm coming up with saying you should go faster isn't working for me. I'm inconsistent in how I race, and I want to break down some basics and so that we don't usually cover, so you don't have to think about it. And this is what a lot of Ross was saying in this book, that I think why we're framing this. So we're going to make it a 4+ part series, which I'll say because I've come up with 4 different topics that I think we should talk about. Maybe we have more, and as we start fleshing it out, maybe we should really figure out what we're going to talk about. But I think we can learn things that you're going to do in the car that if you learn about it now, you won't have to think about it when you're driving in a race situation. So this week, as we said in the main topic, actually we didn't say the main topic because Mental took my thunder. We're going to talk this week about braking. Oh, don't do that. So we're talking about...
I set you up. I did not steal your thunder. You even said Mental didn't steal my thunder.
Okay, fine.
It was a nice Rhode Island wave you gave her, though.
Right. So, okay. So you didn't, I meant to say, that's why I was going to say in the beginning, we're talking about braking. So, it's not a well talked about subject, I think. If you say brake later, well, we don't really talk about what it's doing to the car and think about, what it's doing in the race situation and then ultimately our lap time. So we're going to get into it and Chris is going to talk a lot.
Yeah. Sorry. So obviously if you've got something to say it. Like, I'm just going to keep going otherwise, which is sorry for people out there. First thing we got to talk about to set up for all of our conversations is the traction circle or friction circle. We're going to use that in every discussion we have. You only have 100% traction to give at any wheel for any one thing. So if you're already asking for 100% of cornering on a wheel, you want to brake, well, you got to give up some of your cornering to make some traction available for braking to get back to 100%. It's just basic algebra. So imagine on your dash, the flat part of your dash is a circle. And in that circle is a chain tied at the center. And if the chain is at any of the main compass points, then it's simple. Like if it's pointing north, you're braking fully and doing nothing else. If it's pointing west, you're turning right fully and nothing else. But now think about when it gets between those compass points. That's when things get interesting. That's when you're doing more than one thing at once. But remember, you can't do more than that. That's all you've got. You only have 100% to work with. Beyond that, you're out of control. That's what really we're trying to think of here. Yeah, Jeff.
Can I jump in here real quick? So
yeah,
I once heard it described as like, imagine if you had 1,000 pounds of pressure. 1,000 pounds of pressure that your tire will hold on to. If you spend X amount of pressure in any direction, like 500 up, you can also go 500 left or right. If you spend 700 up, you only have 300 left to go in either direction.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a great way to like kind of put it.
Sure. Absolutely. And putting this more than one way is going to help people understand it better because not every way works for everybody. So that's good. So really the fastest you're ever going to go in a lap is to make as many of your tires as close to 100% as possible for as much of the time as possible. And that's where really true professional race drivers do better than us normies, is that they somehow get all of the tires more involved more of the time. And sometimes that might involve making one tire 102%, but it gets three of the other ones up a couple percent, so it ends up being better, but they know how to control it. Little things like that. But you want all your tires giving as much as they can as much of the time. And really, I'm happy Chrissy started with braking in this because I think braking is it's where you start building from for everything. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first off, let's talk about how you brake, because I think a lot of people brake poorly. They do it wrong. You need to squeeze the brakes. That's the way I talk to my students about it. It's a gentle squeeze. It's not an abrupt slam, right? So you want to ramp up your pedal pressure pretty quickly and pretty firmly to allow your weight to transfer, because it's really about weight transfer, but do not stomp on the pedal.
Don't stab it.
Exactly. Your ramp angle for how you build up the brake pressure, a lot of it depends on how soft your suspension is. Like in our Civic, which is a very...
What does that mean?
Okay.
What does that mean?
Imagine you had a gauge on your brake for pressure. So like when you're off the brakes entirely, it's at 0. And when you're on the brakes fully, it might be 1,000 pounds. So you don't want that. If you had a graph on that, you don't want it to just spike straight up. You want it to ramp up fairly quickly, but not spike. Did that get it?
Yep.
All right. Good.
Yes, just don't use words that people don't understand.
Sorry. No, but thank you for telling me when I'm like, these words all make perfect sense to me, but thank you for slowing me down. This is good. So ramp angle, a lot of it depends on how soft your suspension is. An example is our Civic is very stiff and very low. You can spike that up fairly quickly. Like the ramp angle can go up pretty quickly. And your weight's all going to transfer to the front pretty quickly. There's not a lot of delay. You can get your maximum braking quickly. The other side of it is our Rolls-Royce, where it had all the suspension travel in the world. Like, I'm not kidding, it had about a foot of suspension travel, like more than the Suburban does. And the shocks were squishy because they were designed for ride, because if you felt the bump, then Jeeves did something wrong. So even if you were going for that one lap in the Rolls-Royce where you could get maximum, before the brakes failed, you had to ease into the brakes much more gradually than you do in the Civic, because the weight is transferring itself over. So let the weight transfer. That is what's guiding your brake pressure, is weight transfer. And when you're squeezing onto the brakes, it's like, imagine squeezing an orange for juice. You give it a firm up squeeze, you're getting the juice out of it. If you were to stop on the floor, you'd make a huge mess.
I love this. I read
I
ahead.
did too.
I saw it, and
good.
I was like, that is such a great way
Probably
to describe.
because I was squeezing an actual orange while he was writing these notes.
And a lime, yeah.
It might be a thing.
And everything you're saying is spot on, but we've all done instruction. The flip side of that is so many people are so scared to spill or do anything, because so when they're on the track, they're trying to apply the brakes like they drive their street car, and they're driving their street car with the concept of, I don't want to spill my coffee. I don't want to dump whatever is in this cup holder. And
if you don't want to dump your coffee, shouldn't you be braking like Chris is saying?
Now, if you brake like I'm saying, it's going to come up the side quick, but not completely. But it's going to come up the side quick, but it's not going to throw the cup at the windshield. That's the difference.
The liquid will come out, but the cup will stay in the cup holder.
What's the little game you play on your phone, like Line Racer? I wish I could draw this. I wish we had a visual way to draw this, because that would be like the best way to say, like, ramp up, and then
we do have a way to draw it. Don't you have Speed Secrets in front of you, Chris?
No.
It's right over there.
No, but the listeners can't hear that. He can show me.
Right.
I'm saying
here's again story time. When I went to Skip Barber racing, this is the driving school the first time. One of the things they had you do is called a champagne slalom. So you took the hood of the Dodge Neon ACR, which is what we were using at the time, because it's a long time ago. They had a base built up, and then they put a salad bowl taped to the hood.
Yes.
That had a tennis ball in it. And it's called the Champagne Slalom. So you had to drive this little autocross track with and not lose the tennis ball. And the key is you had to start whatever you're doing gradually enough that the ball got to sit against the side of the salad bowl. Once it was on the side of the the salad bowl, you could go surprisingly hard. But
like it wasn't like a round salad bowl. It had kind of like
it was like kind of the flat bottom, but then it wasn't a totally square bowl, but it's like, the crappy Corel bowls that everyone's grandma had, right?
Yeah,
it was one of those.
Yeah.
So it's flat-ish, and then it ramps up. But once the tennis ball got to the side of the bowl, no matter which side it was, it would stay with surprisingly high force. But if you made something an abrupt movement, it's going to roll in with some speed and bounce out. So it's a similar kind of thing. If you take that, it's not a huge amount of time between your transitions, but just enough that the ball hits the side of the bowl, it makes a bit of a difference. So
okay, should we keep moving?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I cut you off.
You're ramping up your pressure as quickly as you can to let your weight transfer to the front, so your tires are loaded and you get your maximum braking, right? And then you're starting to back down your pressure until release. The way like a limo driver comes up to a stop sign. They come up to the stop sign. They aren't hard on the brakes until they get to the stop sign and they let off, because then everyone in the car heads snap back as you get to the stop sign. They come in, they're releasing the pressure gradually, so by the time they stop, get off the brakes, no one even notices. And that's the kind of thing you want to do, is you want to come in so you let off the brakes. It doesn't upset the car. You want a gradual release. If you pop off the brakes while you're still braking hard, your weight transfer is going to transfer quickly. Some of it depends on your suspension settings, but some suspension settings are poor, and the car is going to pop back, and you're going to lose all your traction on the front end by doing this, or put too much to the rear, and it upset your handling balance a lot. So, unless you're doing it on purpose, which I've done in the past to get a poor handling car to do something I wanted to do, you want to gradually let off the brakes. It's not like a 4-second process, but it's not just pop your foot off quick. It's gradually let it off. Yeah, Chrissy.
No, I was doing the not pop off, because this is my one of my habits that I'm working on and have gotten much better at. But yes, come off as quick
mental. Go ahead, Chris. No, finish your statement.
No. I'll say if you find you're releasing a lot before your turn in, then that means you need to reconsider your braking altogether, which is our next point. Mental.
And that was where you talked about getting a poor handling car to do what you needed it to do. Years ago, I wrote an article with Mark Baruth, and we were in rented E30s from a company, and the car just absolutely would not turn in. If you tried to yank on the wheel, it would just snowplow forward, and the only way we could get this thing to turn was to get too hard on the brakes to the point where the rears would lock up and the fronts weren't. And it was a very narrow percentage. But as the rears would lock up, the rear end would start to come to where we wanted it. And it does. And it's dancing on the ragged edge of this friction circle.
And it's something you can do, but like that's not where most of our people are going to be. Well, it's Lemons. Some people might be there, but
no. Yeah,
let's talk about where most of us are. So the biggest thing that you can consider about brakes, and this was a revelation to me when I actually figured it out, and I think it might have been Ross Bentley that said this, is it's not about where you brake. Forget that. It's about where you come off of the brake. Everything you do backs up from where you let off of the brakes. It's like tomorrow we're thinking about, well, what time do we want to be at our second destination? All right, well, if we need to be at our second destination by 8 o'clock, that means a 4-hour drive from the other one. We need to leave there by 4, and we want to be there for 4 hours. It means we have to be there by noon, which means he's here by 9, right? It's one of those kind of things. So you let off the brakes because you're ready to start 100% cornering, because friction circle. Otherwise, you could still be on them. Or you're ready to start to accelerate. You don't need to be braking anymore. That's when you let off the brakes. And you can be braking until that point. Even if it's a smaller amount, that's when you are. So once you know where you're going to stop braking, you then can determine the point where you start braking. And at that point is where you've scrubbed. It's just enough so you can scrub off enough speed between when you start braking and when you stop braking that you can make the corner by the brake release point. So this then backs up. If you are, if you can, once you figure that out, once you figure out where you stop braking, you figure out where to start braking. Once you figure that out, that figures how long you can stay on the gas. Everything comes back to the brake release point, and that's where you should focus. Most people are fixated on the brake application point because that's the easy thing. That's the thing you think of. That's where they have the markers all down the side.
Where do you start braking? 1, 2, or 3? Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
That is only a function of where you stop braking. That should be the discussion, is where do you stop braking, and then how much distance do you need to scrub off enough speed to stop. That's it. Mental.
And this is key. Focusing on where you come off the brakes accounts for the wear and tear on the car over the course of a race. Because if you're the last person driving the car towards the end of the day, your application point is going to adjust throughout the whole day, but where you come off the brakes never changes. That is a constant. And so from an algebra standpoint, you always focus on the constant, not the variable.
Unless you lose your tires and your cornering speed goes down, and then it changes a little bit. But assuming tires are equal, yeah.
But we're assuming, because we're just talking about braking.
And course conditions as well.
Yep.
Right. But we're just talking about braking because we're trying to break this down into 4 parts. But yes, and that's where I'm coming from.
Yep, that's a good point. So let's talk more about how you're braking, because we already talked a bit about now like the process of braking. We've talked a little bit about when you should brake. So now you don't always brake the same way every time. So let's threshold braking. That's what everyone thinks. Like, I'm going to brake hard. That's straight line. That's maximum braking. The best coefficient of friction on your tires when you're braking is about 85%. So what that means is you're braking hard enough so that at 100 miles an hour, you're actually slowing your wheels down to the equivalent of 85 miles an hour. They are going less than you are. They're slipping a little, but you can still hear them talk. When you hear them talk and chatter, that's when they're slipping a little bit at varied rates. Once the tone goes solid, you've locked them up. That's too much. Yep. Chrissy, you were first. What's up?
Is that consistent with every car, every set of brakes?
You're not hearing the brakes, you're hearing the tires.
I'm sorry.
Some
consistent?
tires, some tires talk more than others. Mm-hmm. And some pavement talks more than others with the tires. Mm-hmm. But in general, once you get to the solid tone, even if it's a quiet solid tone or a loud solid tone, you've locked them up.
Okay.
If you hear the chattery, like,
right, yeah,
that's when you're at just the right point.
So I know we're doing a lot of theory here, but we're talking about improving ourselves, and this is my problem area, and it is approaching threshold. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about trail braking and I could talk about what I do wrong there, but this is definitely like my issue. I think I have the angle correct. What did you call it? The attacking ramp angle. Like ramp angle, I think I do well right. I think it truly, my lizard brain can understand the weight transfer that doesn't really cognitively think to me, but approaching threshold to me, my lizard brain says that's wrong. So like when I start to hear the tires talk to me, like you're saying, the eat, cognitively, I know that's what I'm looking for. But in the heat of battle, my lizard brain is telling me that that's too close to the edge.
Sure.
So
this is what testing day is for.
Yeah.
Go out and figure out where that is. So you have to readjust your brain. Like you drive thousands and thousands of miles on the street. 20,000 miles a year, probably, at least for you.
Yeah.
And you never brake as hard as you do when you're at the racetrack. Not even close.
No.
So your brain that you all the stuff you've done, all the experiences your brain has had, which is what it builds on, say this is wrong. This is too much. And especially that all of our race cars brake so much harder. Than any street car you have. Even the Corvette. Like the Civic could brake the Corvette. Like it'll stop before the Corvette's stopped, without a doubt.
Although we're never driving. I'm never full throttle to a stop point, then stop and then turn, because I would be an asshole if I was doing that.
Oh yeah.
But you would fit in perfectly in Las Vegas. I'm just going to say that right now.
But your concept of how much braking is possible is not in line with how much braking the car can actually do. Like the Honda,
absolutely, yes.
The Honda with the downforce and with the big front tires will almost endo. Like you throw the anchor out, but you don't know. So you have to experiment with it, and the best place to experiment with it is when we're in testing day, ideally.
Yeah. And there is the bubble that we place around ourselves in endurance racing, and we're trying not to eat the tires and not to eat the brakes and not to eat the things. But I think as we try to win and as we try and go faster, it's not deeper, it's not different, it's not the squeeze, it's not the ramp angle I need to do, it's approaching threshold. If I have 1,000 pounds on my traction circle, I'm using 700 and not getting to the 1,000.
And this goes back to think about, where do you need to release? Mm-hmm. Once you have figured out your release, back yourself up the rest of it, and part of it is working up your ramp angle. Working your ramp angle might be okay, but you're plateauing too early. So that'll let you practice. Like, okay, last time I was able to release just slow enough that I could release when I needed to if I started braking at 3. This time I'm going to try starting braking a breath after 3 and see if I am able to still release at the point I need to. And if you end up pushing a little too far and having to, slide off some more speed to make the corner and it sucks, okay, then you know that 3 and a heartbeat might be your answer, etc. Like you have to practice a little bit.
And I think what I do is I end up adjusting I go deeper, but I don't go harder. And that's really what I need to do. Very funny. Go, Mental. I know you're in this.
Oh, Mental's microphone is on mute, which is hilarious.
Sorry. This could be the 5th episode of this podcast. Is you guys talk about the practice days and the testing days, and we've had various guests on here that say, I don't do tests and I don't do practice because that's just laps I don't get in the car. And there is a tendency a lot of time in these practice test days to try just set the fastest lap instead of go out there and do exactly what we're all talking about, which is practice. Hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do a 15-minute session. And for 5 of those minutes, I'm just going to focus on my braking into turn 1. That's my whole deal. Where exactly do I need to come off these brakes into turn 1? And then I build it from there. Mm-hmm. So when you have these practice and these test sessions, it's absolutely not about you trying to set the fastest lap. It's actually about you trying to establish the standard of where you release those brakes or where your turn-in point is that's going to help you in the race. Because in the race, then there's going to be cars in your way and you're going to have to do all this other kind of stuff. So understand that practice and testing use those words. It's for practice and testing, not for being the fastest one out there.
It's a time to experiment with things. Like I've gone out and practiced, and it's not only just, does my car, like, is it awful to drive? Is it going to kill us? Is it going to break immediately? Yes, all those things are valid. But once you've got past that, then it's about trying things. And some of it's trying things for you. Some of it's trying things for the car. And like I've gone out, like for Thompson, remember I went out one day and I said, I'm going to try 2 different lines through the bowl. And I'm going to do 5 laps one line, 5 laps the other line. And I found out the line that seems weird and wrong was actually a half second faster. So that's the time to experiment. Right. Yeah. But it's only because you're trying it. So use that. Anyway.
And by limiting that experiment to one corner, you have an immediate, verifiable feedback.
Sure. Yep.
Well,
was it faster? Was it slower?
Like with any experiment, you have everything constant in one variable. Try to do that every time. And especially if you've tried it enough times.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
We're going down the rabbit hole here. Thanks, Chrissy. So back to braking, hearing the tires. Once you hear the tone is solid and you've locked them up, do not pop your foot off the brake and panic. Do not do that. All you need to do at that point, unless you've locked them up so hard like you're standing on the pedal, all you need to do is essentially lift your toe, your big toe, off the brake, but leave your other foot there. And that's all you need to come up, really, to go from over threshold to back to threshold. Lift your big toe up. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Do not pop off.
I like that idea.
All right. Speaking of toes and braking, there's the brush the brakes, the ballerina toe, as Chrissy calls it. This is a gentle touch. You're trying to transfer a bit of weight to the nose for a better turn-in, or to settle the front end in a bumpy area, or just to scrub a little bit of speed before the corner where you want to really exit strong. Like if you want to know, you need a solid charging exit out of this corner. You want to settle yourself on the turn in so you can get on the gas a little earlier for a strong turnout. Give that a try.
Yeah. Yes. So my commentary on this is I call it ballerina toe because I was a ballerina forever when I was younger, my younger days. And I actually literally use my big toe to try to avoid, if I use my whole foot, I'm going to use more of the brake than I really need. So, and that is going to give me more pressure. The one thing that I think of in New Hampshire, so coming out of turn 1, going into the S's in the 2, 3, or 2, 3, 3A, I guess 2, 2A, I'm sorry. I occasionally will ballerina toe in those corners. And the one time that I didn't, because mental said, you don't need to brake there. So I didn't. And then I spun, and I don't spin. So the lesson learned is clearly you were going faster than I was going into that corner. Well, so I could have done something wrong too, but it was just one of those things where I can count on both hands of all the times that I've gotten a flag, and one of those was a spin, because I just said, let me just try to go. I'm going faster, and let's just try it. And both of them were when you listened to me, so there's a lesson in there. I'm only just using it because literally I remember you saying like, you don't need to brake here, and I said, okay, let's not brake here, and then I was like, okay. Sometimes there's a little bit of time to brake. Hold on one second. You brake, and sometimes it's good for a ballerina toe. Sometimes I was doing ballerina toe, especially at pit race in the back 9. I was in the S's back there. I was ballerina towing, and I didn't need to. So I was modulating the gas, which I will sing the song when we do modulating the gas. I would, instead of braking, sometimes you could just modulate the gas. So yes, Chris, go ahead.
Another example of a great place for this is, I'll use New Hampshire again. When you're up out of the NASCAR section, up on the hill, you've come through the bowl, you go up over the hill past the treehouse, you brake hard for the left, and then you're at the little straight that crosses back over the NASCAR section before you turn right. That is the spot where you just touch the brakes. Just give it a little kiss.
Wait, before you go down,
right by the turtle, right before the turtle.
Before you hit the turtle.
Before the turtle. Kiss the brakes just to settle the nose of the car, so that when you start turning, as you go over the elevation change from where you're going down to flat as you go on the NASCAR circuit to kind of another bump on the other side of it, the nose of the car is settled. You don't really want to brake. You just want to settle the nose.
Exactly what I was going to say. I do this all the time, and I think that's a good section for me. I do some things terribly, but I think I do this part okay. I never consider that braking. I call that just changing the pressure on the tires. You know what I mean? That's just weight transfer. Yep. That's not trying to slow the car.
I know none of you guys read ahead of the notes, but would you stop, please? Yeah, but yeah, whatever.
Oh, wait, we're not reading.
All right, so let's move on to another thing. This is probably a whole episode thing we could have a whole episode about is trail braking. This is just introduce the concept of it. Trail braking is braking while you're turning. It's particularly useful at the end of a straight that's leading into a turn complex or leading into a decreasing radius turn. And what you're trying to do is extend the point of your brake release into the turn deeper so that everything behind that extends deeper too. So like you're on the gas a little longer, your application point is later, and therefore your release point is later, which is what you want. It also can help to rotate your car without using your turning force. Like the car is just going to rotate, but you're not using the rotation as part of your friction circle, which lets you get onto your acceleration point sooner to power out of the corner. So again, you have to use it in the right spots, and it's hard to master, and it can bite you when you've done it poorly, but when you do it right, it's very rewarding.
You are such a front drive expert. That entire explanation of trail braking is exactly what a front driver, because you're actually using both the front end, which is the driving part of the car, and the rear end, which is the part that's kind of rotating it on there too. I like to think
I've done it with rear drive too. But just it's easier in front drive. You can just stand on it after you're through it. But
yes, but no, your explanation was very much a person.
It was. I understand what you're saying. Go on, Michael.
Think about back when, in the days when you rode a bicycle everywhere, and you wanted to make a corner, even on the old school coaster brakes, where you would just kick back on the pedals to lock the rear tire, and you could use that to change the direction that the bicycle was pointing. And we're throwing a lot of terms.
I like that.
It is a great analogy.
We're throwing a lot of terms at people. And some of these are going to confuse you, but the point that Chrissy made early on is the more examples of this and the more varied these examples are, the greater chance a lot of you who listen to this have of grasping this concept. And that's why I'm going with the bicycle one.
I like that. That's great.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, because I feel like, hold on one second. I feel like it is a good way to explain it. And it's, except I think of myself on a bicycle, doing that on a bicycle or like a big wheel or like something like that one of those kind of that's cool. Or something kind of plastic thing. They're right. That's when you're trying to do that, you're braking and moving at the same time, though it's very different in a car because you're probably racing. So on to this, I have done this on accidentally and it works well. And when I do it, I'm like, oh, this is great. I just did that. But I'm not actually cognizant that I'm going into the corner and doing this. So in Speed Secrets, as I was reading it, Ross suggested that you practice this amongst other things in a vacant parking lot rather than trying to do it on the track or testing time for the first time. Don't know if you have that luxury to do it, but I think this is one of those things that says if you can try it elsewhere before you get there, then you can know what you're doing when you get there.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I'm going to jump in with another part of mine where this is where I fight the lizard brain. I learned very early that smooth is fast and do one thing at a time. And these were kind of the basic instructions that were given to me when I began. Thank you for the lizard lips there, mental. When I began racing or performance driving, I should say, because it was more about rally and autocross at that point, do one thing at a time. And it's not like drag race, full stand, then turn, then drag race. But I fight my lizard brain.
Unless you have a Camaro.
Exactly. And what did I learn on? I learned on rear-wheel drive trucks with bad suspension and bad tires. So, and off-road was my first performance driving was in slippery conditions. It's where it's really hard to, go back to the traction circle. Chris talked about going straight up, straight down, left or right, the points of the compass. It's hard to go into those angles. And it's hard to turn and brake at the same time. So I fight my lizard brain to do that. So I understand when Chrissy says, like, I do this sometimes by mistake and it works. Absolutely. I definitely do more trail braking because I got myself into trouble than I intended to. Like, I'm here, I'm trail braking. Oh,
you're like,
that.
oh, that was great.
Yeah,
and I didn't swing out, and I didn't lose the button.
Man, I should remember how to do that next time.
That's exactly
what's interesting. You mentioned drag racers, and what I've noticed a lot of my instruction is drag racers. If you can get them to make this contextual shift of turning the weight transfer around from acceleration to braking, they almost immediately grasp these concepts because they understand what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the weight onto the tire with the greatest footprint. And if you can get them
you say drag racers?
Absolutely.
Why?
If I can get
transfer is very
drag racers, absolutely.
Yeah.
A good drag racer understands weight transfer on a fundamental level. And I'm like, if we can make a connection where I can get them to understand, okay, we're doing the same thing, just backwards instead of accelerating, we're slowing down. Boom. They always get it. They're like, oh yeah, dude, this makes total sense because they're trying to increase that footprint of the tire. And they do it by applying the brake, not to slow the car, but to increase the footprint of the tire before they come into the corner.
Well,
and that's accelerate. That's what we're trying to do.
Anybody who drag races a stick car understands the acceleration that pushes down on those back tires, but the shift actually stops the accelerating. So it weight transfers up. And when they shift and then return, they realize that they have to, not slam that gas down. They have to wait for the weight to transfer. I'm going to talk about weight transfer here just a little bit because, this is something
we could do a whole show on weight transfer.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe this is number 5.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Right.
Number 5. Yeah, I'm just going to say that weight transfer is something that really comes naturally to me, and I think that's why I'm good in the rain. Because I'm constantly feeling for that weight transfer and that adhesion and the squeezing the orange and those things in braking becomes so much more important when there's less traction.
That's true, and you are alarmingly good in the rain. Consistently good in the rain.
If you're used to driving like racy cars with very stiff suspensions, go out on track in a stock Miata sometime. And
baby.
Seriously, your understanding of weight transfer
Miata
will be so much better. Really. Or like when I drive Krager's Del Sol compared to our Honda, almost the same chassis, but his is a lot softer. Like the weight transfer is so much more apparent. It's so much easier to feel that like you actually get a better feel for what the car is doing than ours. It doesn't move at all. So like yes, you might think, yes, the stiffer is super cool for racing, but if you want to improve yourself, go back to a stock Miata on street tires. You're going to learn so much more.
There was an interesting thing on Facebook talking about Mazda saying that putting super sticky tires on your NA Mazda is actually incorrect. And They talked about going back to and finding someone who would manufacture the original tires because those original tires would be a, quote, more pure experience in your NA Miata. And there was some argument in my Miata Jihad forums about whether that was right or wrong.
Who is more gay? Sorry.
All right, completely politically incorrect. But did everyone see for the Gay Pride Month, Mazda has decided they'll continue to manufacture Miatas, and it's okay to be gay and it's okay to have a Miata. That's still just a funny joke, and if you don't get it, then I'm not sure you're actually gay or a gearhead.
Awesome. Mental, go on and talk about what you want to talk about because I've covered just about everything in my section.
Okay, so we all talked about the traction circle, and the reason this is so important is whenever I'm doing extended coaching like Grid Life or when I was at Atlanta Motorsports Park and I had somebody for more than 4 minutes, we would always end up with a sheet of paper and we would talk about the traction circle. It's an arbitrary concept, and until your mind wraps around it, you may not get it. So what I would like you all to do, and this link is in our show notes, is I want you to go to an old show in the late 60s, early 70s called Car and Track, and all the episodes are available on YouTube. And the way they would test braking in a new car in 1969 was to just stomp on those great big GM power brakes and lock up all 4 tires and slide through cones. And that's how they judged how effectively a car braked. All 4 of those tires sliding and making a huge screechy noise is everything that Chris talked about when he talked about the threshold. They are well beyond that threshold, but that's how we used to think cars needed to brake.
It's great to flat spot some tires.
Absolutely. Well, these are old, these are old Gatorback non-steel belted, bias ply, Goodyear, So, but watch these videos. The link we're providing is actually from a Chevy Impala 396, and just watch how this car handles. But
this guy's outfit is amazing.
Hey, don't be dogging on Bud Lenderman, man.
Awesome.
Everything that Jeff is talking about rolling over and exceeding this traction circle, you're going to be able to see in very clearly defined points through these videos. Not to mention, they're just hilarious. So my students really almost never wrap their head around the traction circle until they suddenly exceed the traction circle. And then about half the time you see the light bulb come on, they go, oh, this is what this long-winded jerk was talking about. You can see it, and they're relating the two concepts of the traction circle and this tire sliding, and almost never results in immediate improvement. But what it results in is an immediate improvement in their study of the concept. So they're going into these adhesion limits, and as soon as the tires start to lock up, I see them very slightly modulating the brakes so that the brakes aren't locking up, but they're right there at the ragged edge. And that is a constantly updating equation as you're slowing the car more and more. Now, shifting gears slightly, my biggest challenge personally in coaching is not when I get off the brakes or even when I get on the brakes. But what I find is that's always my panic move is I don't feel like I'm in 100% control, so I'm just going to stab at the brakes until I feel like I am. And that's wrong. But way back last year when we started this, Chris mentioned that he was subscribing to the Ross Bentley daily reminders. And one of the daily reminders that Ross Bentley sent Chris was, think back to your best time on the track. What were you doing right and what were you doing wrong? And I took that into heart, and I've been meditating on this for about a year now. Every time that I've been really, really fast on the track without trying, I was not using the brakes to slow the car. I was using the brakes to position the car. And I was slowing the car with the steering or I was accelerating it with the steering by trying to get as close to a straight line. And we remember back in March when I did the 24-hour endurance on the kart racing, and I was having a miserable time. And it's because I was not making that muscle connection between using the steering wheel to slow the car and the brakes to balance the car. So when I'm frustrated or I'm not really just kind of in the moment, I tend to stab or I'm dragging the brakes, which begins to upset the balance of the car because I'm still thinking of the brakes as slowing the car, and I'm not thinking of slowing the car as an individual concept. This last race we did in New Jersey, Chris challenged me. He said, I dare you to go out in the BMW and beat the time that you had in the Honda. And the Honda's a wicked fast car. Once we get settled, it's going to be amazing. And I went for a run. I got my head in the game, and I wasn't trying to win the race. I was trying to go out there and set the fastest lap, which I did right up until 5 laps after Chris got in the car. But that's not the point. And what I was doing out there, and I look back on this now, I was not using the brakes to slow the car. I was using the brakes to set the car up for the turn. I was slowing the car by using the steering and using the downshifting, which comes down to the same basic concept of the traction circle. Chris.
That's exactly the point of you weren't worried about where you're braking. You're worried about where you're going to stop braking because that says what sets you up for the corner. Thank you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I remember introducing this concept to a student I had one time. I'm like, when you get to this point, you're not going to use the brakes to slow the car down. You're going to use the steering. Instead, you're going to use the brakes and the accelerator to alter the direction of the car. And he looked at me like I was from Mars. And I realized it was probably way too advanced of a concept for that point in time. But this is how you know you're going down the right path, is when you find yourself using the steering wheel to adjust the speed of the car because you're using that to set the car up for the corners. And if I'm over your head, guys, I'm sorry, and do what Chrissy did. Go back and read that book again, because you've probably just not been exposed enough to the concepts that we're talking about for it to completely settle in your brain. And that's not a question of your skill, and it's not a question of your intelligence. It's a question of having the vocabulary of what we're talking about. And you can get there by doing exactly what she's talking about, going back and reviewing those concepts. I know that's a real philosophy major kind of rant, but I'm done.
I'm glad you're done. I feel like I've had a driving instruction baby. How's everybody feeling out there? I just want to check in. We're going to go around. Yeah. We're going to make sure we're all still with us. Okay, let's roll call. Bill, are you still with us? Erlang, you still with us? All right.
That's funny.
Chrissy, you still with us?
Donnie?
Donnie out there?
We're here.
Donnie's listening no matter what. Donnie is sitting there with a picture of the four of us going, yeah, no, I totally get that, guys.
Hitting that fast forward button on the podcast
right?
app. Like,
that's what Erlang's doing. Sitting the 50.
When is Mental going to be done, damn it? Real quick, anyone have anything else to add to this topic? I think we did a great job today. I think it's heavy, so now we're going to do something funny. Anybody got anything?
I'm not gonna. I say this stuff a lot because I don't get to hang out with you guys. Chrissy, thanks for this idea. The whole series is a brilliant idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's
really,
do it again in 2 weeks.
This is what we started this whole thing to do, is stuff like this, and we get too into like, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know.
Let's talk about a party.
Right.
How do we party?
Right. But stuff like this is hard to do, and we can't do this every week because we'd be out of ideas before too long, and everyone's brains would bleed. But this is really good stuff, and I want to keep doing some of this.
I really wish maybe it's because I'm a visual learner, but I really wish I had I could draw things on the screen for the listeners. But let's move on and do something fun. I did mention that it was my son's 11th birthday this weekend. He had a bunch of his friends over the
Everyone
pool.
loves Josh. He's a great kid.
There was cupcakes. There was pizza. It was like heaven for 11-year-olds.
Still sounds
there
like
was
a good
video
birthday.
games.
Just
I know.
have beer.
Right.
So we did something that we very, very rarely do is we ordered pizza for delivery.
Oh.
Okay. Stick with me. The delivery guy showed up and I was like, oh my God, that is the most pizza delivery car ever. This is a terrible vehicle. It's orphaned. It's American sorta, and it was if you have that, you're probably a pizza delivery guy, and I want to see if you all could guess what the hell the pizza guy showed up with. You already heard it's sort of American, it's orphaned. You all get a question or two. Who wants to go first? Mental had his hand up first. Questions for Mental.
Because it's you and you were really excited about it, and I already know I'm wrong, but I'm going to help the other two get this. It was a Renault Reliant GTA.
You're not going to ask a question. You're just going to jump.
Come on, help us out.
Oh no.
That doesn't help, by the way.
Let me give you.
Okay, hold on. Was it a 2-door or a 4-door?
No. Let me give you a fifth hint before you go there. I don't want this car. There was no moment of let me offer this guy $500. This is a terrible car.
Okay, that's a whole different world. All right.
It was a 4-door.
Crap, 4-door, quasi-American. Jeez. Well, yeah,
but
like the
4-door
whole
with trunk or 4-door with hatch?
Ooh, good. There we go.
Trunk, sedan.
Damn. Crap, and Jeff doesn't want it. Quasi-American, orphaned sedan.
It was American.
You said quasi-American.
I think the brand was not fully American.
Was it manufactured in Wisconsin?
I have no idea.
New Jersey. There's no Renaults here left anymore. Mental. I need your AMC.
I think he would geek out on a Renault, even if it's shitty. It's like, oh, we don't have Renaults in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So no.
Oh crap!
I'm going to its Wikipedia right now.
Just to make sure.
To see where it was built.
Well, no, because everyone else knows it's a Renault, so it's not a Renault, and that's the way I was going to.
Front-wheel drive 4-cylinder?
It has to be.
No, this was a 6v6.
Not American.
It was definitely American.
Badge, though.
Ish.
Ish. It was assembled in Ontario.
Oh.
This is a great game, actually. Well done, Jeff.
Is it a Pontiac?
No, not GM.
Whoa.
All right, I've asked my question, so I guess I gotta put my nickel down. This is a tough one. I'm gonna say.
I know what it is. Oh my God!
Produced in the early '90s.
Okay,
go for it, Mental. Go for it.
Yeah, Mental, go.
It's God,
you
I can't
went
think of
first
the name
last
of
time.
But it's that Eagle 4-door sedan they made. Oh God!
I'm excited about an Eagle.
No,
every Eagle was something else. Was it the Vision was an LH, the Mirage was a Mitsubishi.
He would like
the
Mitsubishi.
The only V6 front drive Mitsubishi Eagle they made was the Vision.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's got.
Circle gets a square. It was a teal green Eagle Vision.
Shut the front door.
See, that was a team
effort. Team effort about what we knew about Jeff and what we knew about American orphan cars.
I was going to orphan cars. I was going for before you said it was an orphan brand, I was going to go with Chevy Aveo because that's a Daewoo. That's right. That's terrible. Or I was going to go with
Mental. You're a smart guy, but that was
Here's Jeff.
Wow.
How'd you know?
Team effort.
Tell me about why that is not American.
Because the Eagle brand, every single car, like you said, like all the different cars were either a Renault or a rebadged Mitsubishi.
What's interesting about the Vision? Here's a little Chrysler LH geek out here.
Oh God!
Are we done with this show?
I'll make it real quick.
This is good. Keep
this real
going.
quick.
There are at least two of us on this podcast that want to hear this, Chrissy.
That platform was actually only sold as an American car. It was sold as a Chrysler, a Dodge, and an Eagle.
Oh my God!
But the origins of the platform go back to the Eagle Premier and the Dodge Monaco, which is actually a Renault-based platform, but back in the mid '80s.
I knew it was Renault-based. I would like to also mention that
vaguely Renault-based.
According to Wikipedia, they sold this in Europe as the Chrysler Vision.
They did.
Wow. Well played, team.
I'm impressed.
Like
Is there anything that's more pizza delivery guy than that? Probably not.
Yeah, I was going with the
Breeze.
the tiny pickup that had from the Toy Story.
Oh,
that's what I was going. That's what I'm going with until you went
old school 2-wheel drive Toyota Hilux.
That's what I was going with.
Well, I always think Geo Metro when I think pizza delivery.
Well, sure. But this was terrible.
I like the Aveo, though. The Aveo. That seems like
I always think of, because Saturn was the only car company that featured a television commercial that showed one of their delivery guys driving one of their cars.
Saturn Astra was going to be my guess until you said V6.
Oh,
because not American, but American, orphan brand, etc.
Somebody talk about the next show. We've killed our listeners enough. Approaching an hour and 45. Go on.
Next week, we do have a very special guest. Our buddy Ike from the Untitled Car Show is joining us. Now, aside from almost burning his Fiero to the ground, which we talked about on the show, he's actually been really busy and he's ready to start recording new episodes. And we're having a Twitter conversation. I said, hey, you want to come back on? He said, I'd love to. So hopefully after being on our show, he won't change his mind about going back and doing podcasting again. So if you've got questions for Ike or the Untitled Car Show, get a hold of us on any of our social medias. I've changed our Twitter account to the
Why
E1R.
am I just learning about this?
Yeah, I've changed our Twitter account to the Everyone Racers, from the Everyone Racers to the Everyone Racers parentheses, but usually just mental, because it's me, Ike, HB McNewby, and Donnie Florida Man talking
you made that up, HB McNewby. That doesn't exist.
Talking about anything that Steph the Pef doesn't like.
Yeah.
So we're having a lot of good conversations on there. So follow us on Twitter, because you're not going to learn anything other than what Mental thinks about when he first wakes up at 9 a.m. your time.
That's awesome. I do mess with the Insta, but I wouldn't know what to tweet or twat if you asked me. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of traction circles, driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast and are still listening after this super long episode, it's totally free. So go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, tell us how awesome we are, and make more people listen. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page or tweet at Mental, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram or Twitter. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless there is no shiny side, then just keep the traction circle down.